Let's talk about a couple of just core ideas before we dive into this whole thing. So, one idea. Has anybody ever heard of the term inter-regional dependence? Bueller? Anybody want to give a crack at what that means? Interdependence or inter-regional dependence?
That means you're dependent on different systems coordinating together?
That's part of it, for sure. So it's different systems coordinating together, which could mean how neurological plays with movement, or how local biomechanics translates into global biomechanics, okay? In the movement screen world, what this is saying is the squat is tying into the lunge, which is tying into how your shoulders are moving, which is tying into how your ankles are moving, which is tying into how everything is moving. So in a nutshell, nothing's unconnected. Okay, can we agree with that? So, I kid you not, if somebody comes in and has limited wrist problems, that could show up in an ankle issue or a neck issue or something like that. So we're just not going to rule anything out. Interdependency, okay? Also, neurological or neurodevelopmental sequencing or neurological development. So, in a fancy world or a fancy term, when you get born, you're on the ground, and certain things come alive before others. Now, this isn't a standard because in Africa, there are societies where they'll put their babies in holes so that they don't get eaten by animals, and the babies are in a hole sitting for months and months and months, and they just learn how to walk. So I'm telling you that there's other ways to develop through these sequences, but this is just the most commonly seen way. So neurodevelopmental sequencing, or we can just say neurosequencing, in a nutshell is going to be you're born, your head moves first, your arms and your legs moves next. You roll over and you flop over from there. You get up on your hands and your knees from there. You then start putting one of your feet up and you start creeping. And then you come up to standing. And then once you're standing, you can actually get up and down off the ground. And so it makes sense because that's how most people have adapted into living. That why don't we just mimic that when we're teaching people how to move again? Instead of trying to just fix their squat the first time we see them, let's check and see if some of the more basic things are limited, fix those first, and then the more global things will also come around. All right, so there's a neurodevelopmental sequence to what's going on in here. Has anyone ever heard of the term reactive neuromuscular training, or RMT? Tutu, explain. You.
In a real world application?
Yep, yes, exactly. A real world application, that's what this is.
I'm guessing, an educated guess.
Go for it.
Would be that, sort of remapping how neurologically you usually react to certain things. So like basic movement would be like walking. That could be something that someone just gets used to like a certain way. Might be the improper way that they know about walking. So fixing that so like it's a base reaction, so you don't have to consciously fix yourself.
Got it. Go.
It's creating some kind of stimulus that makes someone respond in a way to relearn something, hopefully in a superior pattern.
Perfect. That's a really good way to say it. So you were basically grasping it and you verified it much better. Thank you. So here's a really easy way to put it. You're a baby. You haven't even stood up yet. Okay? So we're down here and we're just figuring out what the hell's going on in the world. So we're putting our foot up. That's wobbly. Okay. Put my other foot up. That's wobbly. Okay. And then I'm going to start. And when I do that, my brain goes, that wasn't right. Something that's not what we want. Let's do that again. So then I come here, and I get the same speed wobble, but I react. And all of a sudden, oh, that's my squat. And my body just found it right there in that moment. And just like you said, it's hopefully a more desired way to do it. So as you as a progression specialist, that's your job. You're gonna make your clients react to learn these patterns, and you're ensuring that this is the proper thing that they want. Meaning, if somebody has a poor lunge, so they're doing this, but I'll show people from this angle. So somebody's doing this, okay? I could say to them all the things I want in the world. I could say, stand up tall, push your knee out, squeeze your glute, like you can say all the things in the world. Or, I could put a band around their knee, pull it this way, make them go down and up and say, fight the band. And as they go down and up, okay, and they're reacting and they're understanding that that knee shouldn't dive in valgus, and that their glute should fire when they're going up and down in the hip flexion, and that their pelvis should stay level, and that their spine should stay aligned, and blah, 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 blah. But you're allowing the body to find it out for itself rather than telling the body how it should be done. That's a huge philosophy change for a lot of people that are coaching. Rather than telling somebody, I'm gonna make your squat great, you're gonna learn how to squat again. That's different. And there's different ways to do that. Maybe somebody isn't ready to do something standing yet. Maybe they need to learn how to do a pattern on their hands and their knees. You can still do reactive neuromuscular training in any position, and that will help them acquire it in a more challenging position. Meaning, if I'm on my hands and my knees, this is no different than a squat. I'm not standing all the way up, but my ankles are getting maximal dorsiflexion, my knees are flexing, my hips are flexing, and my back has to stay tall. If I rock back and I do this, and my feet could do it, I'd be in a squat. So I could teach somebody how to squat there, and then assisted squat, and then standing, and you can progress somebody into a squatting. Fair enough? So, RNT, reactive neuromuscular training, and then last kind of two things. Guys, somebody comes in and they have pain in their knee when they do a lunge screen. Are you going to do lunges with them that day? Why? You're telling me that you can't get them to lunge better that day? Bueller?
Yeah, Vanessa would tell you that the fact that there's pain at all means that they're not going to be able to learn what you want.
Why?
Because the pain interferes with the neurological ability to adapt to a new
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. So,
You just be grouping a bad pattern.
yeah, essentially. Or not even retraining a bad pattern. You're just literally never getting the body the chance to find the right pattern. Because look, I had shoulder pain when I was 12 years old. My entire life, I've known that shoulders shouldn't feel good when they do certain things. It hasn't been until recently that I've even had that great of a relief from this important thing that we're doing here. So you're gonna take a client who comes in and they're like, oh, I feel that in my shoulder. Their brain already understands at a subconscious level, at an ingrained fascial level, that this motion does not feel good. So there's zero chance that any tactile cueing, RNT, stretching, blah, 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 nothing is gonna allow them to break that subconscious restriction and find the right pattern. So it's gonna take deciding, are we even gonna look at that pattern today, or do we need to start somewhere else and then work back to that pattern later? Because what the interdependency model will tell you is, I got shoulder pain, but the hips aren't painful and they're limited. Well, I'm gonna get the hip less limited, and that will clear up the shoulder. And next time I get the shoulder test, it's gonna be less or it's gonna be gone, and then I can go after the shoulder. Now, not to confuse anyone, there will be times when the screen tells you that you might look into a painful pattern that day. For example, somebody's moving phenomenally, except even though it's the right range of motion, they have a painful shoulder when they do it. So everything else looks good, nothing else is to be touched. You might have to slowly go in and inspect what's happening at the shoulder. That's something for like a level 2 or 3 coach though. So at the basics, you guys just need to understand, we're not gonna touch the shoulder or do anything that could problem or that could cause irritation to the shoulder today. We'll do other things that will improve it today, and maybe give you some stretches that will make it feel better. And as you go through the system, the shoulder will improve, and if it doesn't, we clearly need to get you back into something over here. See how that works? So we're taking a lot of pressure off you guys. In this industry right now, you're kind of forced to be like the pseudo-physical therapist and the pseudo-nutritionist and the pseudo-this. Forget it. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Somebody comes in, that hurts, don't worry about it that day. Take care of the stuff that is limited and non-painful, and then let's send them through the system, and if for some reason it doesn't clear up, then let's get them to a higher eval. Really, really simple. We just need to screen, clear, move on. Somebody's all ready to train, let's teach them regular exercise. Somebody's all ones, let's teach them simple exercises and get them back to 2s and 3s. All right? We'll explain what the 1s, 2s, and 3s mean momentarily. So thank you for clarifying. We're not going to move into any painful patterns anytime, anywhere. There will be circumstances where we take a look at why is the shoulder or the disc painful, go into a very simple movement that's not even a training exercise. This is like a corrective physical therapy exercise. And in those rare situations, we might have to like build them back up out of pain. Very rare. So, lastly, as we go through the screen today, in our nature, we're gonna see things and we're gonna go, okay, that's what's doing that. Oh, that's causing that, right? I wanna verify right here, right now, that we are not assessing, we are screening. Meaning, By no means from what you learn over the next 4 weeks are you going to be able to go and say, it is this thing that is causing this thing. You do not have the clearance to say, your shoulder impingement is causing pain in your shoulder. Or even say, your shoulder impingement is causing pain in your hip. You can say, hey, we just found that your shoulder's impinged. That's probably going to have something to do with what's going on in the whole system. So let's clear that up. Let's get these other things fixed up, and let's see where the dust settles. Because most people will spend their entire training lives just focusing on that one thing. Or maybe a couple of things that go back and forth between each other. But nobody looks at the whole picture anymore. That's the purpose of the movement screen, and that's the purpose of how we're going to end up developing this whole system. So that the whole body is looked at, and everything is accounted for as we evaluate. Cool? So we're not assessing today. We're going to figure out what things are working together through this kind of interdependency model, and we're going to see where's the best place to start and create a domino effect of change. Meaning if I flick over the first domino and I fix it, everything else should fall into line. Right? So, we're going to go through, any questions? Sweet. So we're going to go through the 7 screens. There's 7, and then there's a couple of clearance tests. We're going to go through these all together. Also, at each one of them, we're going to kind of stop and talk about how should we talk to the client when we're doing this. What are you asking for? Do you feel this here? Do you feel this here? The movement itself is going to give you a lot of information. It's also going to be in your best interest just to go a step higher and say, okay, so when you're doing that, where do you feel it? Do you feel it in the front of the leg? Do you feel it in the back of the leg? Do you feel it in the knee or the ankle? Do you feel tightness here or there? Because what the person is feeling is just as important as what you're seeing. If somebody shows me a really good ankle clearance, if I didn't say anything, I'm just going to assume it's good, right? I just the other day had a guy where I was seeing how well his ankles moved. His knee went literally all the way past his foot. His ankle moves amazing. I do the other one, the ankle also goes almost past his foot. I stop and I say, how do those feel? Do you feel that like in the Achilles? Do you feel that in the, like, where do you feel it? He goes, oh, on this side I feel it in my knee, and on this side I feel it on the front of my ankle. If I hadn't stopped to take that second, I would have kept training on that issue that's going on down here. We can all agree right now that even if somebody has a functional range of motion somewhere, they're not going to want to feel it in a joint like pressure or tightness. They're going to want to feel it kind of distributed over different areas. We'll talk about what those areas are, but it's important to just take that extra step and see where are things happening and being felt. Fair enough? So, we went over kind of what you guys need to know by the end of this, okay? I'm going to put this out there right now. So we have Tuesdays and Thursdays, which means that Thursday to Tuesday there's a big gap, and then between Tuesday and Thursday there's a 1-day gap. So everybody here works with people. I don't see it a problem where in between Tuesday and Thursday you should get at least 3 people screened. Maybe not a full screen, maybe it's just shoulders and hips, maybe it's just trunk stability and rotary stability. But I need people, everyone, including myself, to screen at least 3 people between Tuesday and Thursday, and ideally 10 people between Thursday and Tuesday. Just so you guys know, I'm averaging, I want to say 20 people a week I'm screening, and that's just in here. When I go to the motion mechanic, I screen people over there. And when I'm with my girlfriend and she tells me her neck hurts, I screen her there. When I'm with my best friend at dinner and he tells me that this is bothering him, we get out of dinner and I screen him. Like, there's no, literally, there's no problem in screening. Like, that 10 to 15 minutes of screening is going to save you months or years off of your training because you're not going to run into the same roadblocks. Or it's going to keep you dialed in to know that you're working towards the right direction and not leaving other things untouched. So you need to screen. And I'm sorry, but the only way to get better at screening is more screening. I've been screening people nonstop for 6 years. I'm still not going to say I'm a master at it because I want to always get better at screening. The guy that created this, Greg Cook, and a couple of other guys, they'll say the same thing. And I was fortunate enough to learn this from the people that created it. And when you start tackling it from the perspective of it's going to be the more reps you get of this, the better, you can't fail. You're going to get better and better and better, but the moment that you think, I got this, you're going to get left in the dust. So as we're screening people today, I'm still going to be trying to get better at it, trying to look and fine-tune things, okay? So, as long as we understand what the expectations are, let's talk about the screen. So, before I even do anything, let's think about our client demographics. So we have 2 main categories of clients. We have the stereotypical kind of 9 to 5 Joe Smith, Jane Doe, right? They are at a computer most of the time. They're going to be maybe tight in the back. They're going to be tight up here, upper cross, lower cross syndrome. And then we're going to have some athletes. So we're going to have people that are very active. We have a lot of CrossFit people that are coming into this because they love the idea of getting fit. So you're going to have people that are essentially here, and you're going to have people that are essentially here. And you're going to have mixtures of the two. So when you screen people, there's a slightly different nuance to each person you're screening. And I'm going to explain that. Because when I screen OJ, who has done mixed martial arts and is fighting and this and that, you can best believe that he's done a squat once or twice in his life, and that he's done a lunge once or twice in his life. So when I screen him versus when I screen Sally Jane, who's 50 years old, I need to be very specific with OJ about, look, this isn't to see how big anything is, how cool you are, how awesome you are at anything. This is to see how you move, how you control your body. So I have to have this very specific conversation about, you're going to do what you feel like is easy to do. You're not trying to exercise your way through this because I'll see the tension in your body. You're not trying to impress anyone. I'm just seeing, like if you got your blood pressure measured, what's it at? Where are we at? When I'm measuring or when I'm screening somebody else who's not an athletic person, I have to take a second and say, look, something we do in here might cause some pain today. I don't know. That's why we're screening you. Because you've now finished your table sessions, you feel good, you're not in any pain. So this is a way to make sure that everything is clear before we start actually training with you and getting you ready to keep this alignment. If you keep that same conversation with both people, you're not gonna have the same screen. You're gonna have him over aggressively squatting, super perfect, and you're gonna have Sally Jane going, that was fine. But then at the end of the screen, she'll be like, ow, now my knee hurts. Well, you're supposed to tell me right when and there when the knee bothered you. Right? So dialogue is going to be important. So let's say it's an athletic person. Really simple. OJ, I'm going to take you through a movement screen. All right? I'm going to give you 7 things to do. I really need you to approach this like you just woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and there's a fire in your house and you're just trying to get out of the house. It's not about how perfect it is. I'm going to tell you what to do and you're going to repeat or you're going to mimic what my verbal cues are. And then if for any reason anything hurts, you let me know. Cool? Whereas for Jane Smith, it's going to be Jane. This is going to be a movement screen where there is a chance that some of these motions could cause pain. So as we go through the screen, let me know if at any time there's any pain or discomfort anywhere. You let me know right away. We'll stop. You won't have to do that movement again, and we'll move on. And if for some reason anything gets really upset as we do the screen, that was the purpose of the screen. So now we know from this point on that we need to do a more advanced evaluation for you. So that way they feel taken care of. Does that make sense? So the athlete is prepared and understands that I just need to move. And the regular client is prepared and understands I need to be aware and sensitive of what's going on. Cool? So that's kind of just the introduction. So as I said earlier, it's very important that you remind the client, you're not going to show them what to be done. Meaning I'm not going to take the stick, set myself up, and do a squat. Why? Why don't I want to show them what to do? They're going to mimic you, right? So if I say, hey guys, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to do, you're then have an expectation of what it should look like. So you're going to try and look like me. That's not cold movement, right? I need to see how the body is moving cold, how it's functionally moving at like a basic level. So if it was 5 o'clock in the morning and the house burned down, and there was a giant log in front of your room, somebody's not going to go, and go. They're going to freaking jump over that thing and run. So I need to see what's going to happen because all of our clients are at some point going to get back into an athletic endeavor. Maybe it's like a walk with their kids, maybe it's running at the park. But if we don't ensure that their body is moving properly when those athletic endeavors happen, then we haven't done our job. So, without further ado, let's start with the deep squat screen. The FMS will purposely go from the most complicated movements to the most simple movements. So when you do the deep squat screen, if somebody doesn't have a great squat, I really try to look at it as like, again, I'm gonna stress, you're not assessing. You don't want to look at the squat and go, probably an ankle, probably a hip, probably a this. No, it's either 0, 1, 2, or 3, pain, move on, right? Because at the end of the screen, you now have all this information that will help you much more appropriately piece together what's going on. The last thing you want to do is get caught up in this idea of I see one movement one time and I know exactly what's going on with the entire body. That's a very, very, very challenging thing to do. That will take lots and lots and lots of time and lots and lots and lots of practice. So, because we don't know yet if we're gonna have a bunch of these kits or even if we're gonna have any of these kits in the future, I'm gonna show you guys how to do this more standard, and I'm gonna show you guys how to do this what I call guerrilla style, which is just on the streets. So like again, I'm with my best friend, we just had dinner, I don't have a board or anything, but I'm still gonna screen him, so I'll show you guys how to do that too. So, again, I'm not gonna show somebody. In fact, would anybody like to volunteer for the first one? Thanks, OJ. So I just had that really awesome conversation with him. He understands what's going on. You're gonna just hold this, thank you. So OJ, you're gonna stay with your feet shoulder width apart. Okay? By the way, shoulder width apart, if you wanna be very specific, is outside line of the shoulder, straight down. That's the side of his foot. So again, I also wanna make sure that the sides of the feet are straight, because when he squats, if I see internal or external rotation down here, that's gonna give me an idea of what's happening with the squat pattern, right? So everything with the setup of the screen is very, very specific, and it has to be, because again, if I just said, OJ, feet shoulder width apart, and he stood like this and squatted, is that the squat screen? It is not the squat screen, because if he is an external rotator at his feet, I just gave him the squat that his body wants, right? I got no information out of it. So, with his feet shoulder width apart, feet are straight, sides of the shoulders, he's gonna put the dowel on his head. I'm gonna help him get to 90 degrees at his arms. So I like that, I like that. The dowel goes straight up over his head. Now, before we even start, I come to the side and I see, is the dowel over his feet? Yes, it is. You're gonna have clients that are like this to start. Even when you say, put your arms up over your head. You already know this is not gonna be a 3. It's not. So again, there's a 0, which means there's pain. That's the easiest score. There's a 3, which basically means it's perfect. You think it's another easy score, but we have to define what perfect is first. You have a 1, which is like, we gotta work on it. You have a 2, which is like, we're good enough. We'll worry about that later, okay? So his arms are straight up. I'm good with that. I'll say, OJ, squat as low as you feel comfortable squatting, please. Hold the bottom for about 1 or 2 seconds, and then stand back up. Now you get 3 chances. If you don't get 3 chances, you need to screen more so you get better with the 3 chances that you get. So you're gonna wanna look at this from at least 2 angles, ideally 3. My favorites for the squat are the side, so I can see the alignment from the stick to the shoulder to the feet. And then 1 more spot, please. And the back, because I wanna see, does his hips slide left to right? Do one of his heels lift up? Do one of his knees collapse in or out? You can also see how their spine is aligned. So somebody with a scoliosis are gonna be slight little deviations or right to the left. And again, I only need 3 reps. So in my 3 reps, I can easily see that OJ is basically a 3. Could I be really mean and say, I could. Could I be really mean and say that there was like a little bit of a dump at the bottom? I could. But we know, most likely, because that wasn't painful and because it looked so good, that's probably not causing any problems for OJ. If he had knee pain or if he had knee pain in that, I might be like, all right, let's look into that further. If he had shoulder pain in that, I'm like, all right, it's not the squat that's causing the shoulder, right? Most likely. So, we got him a 3. Can I have Clifton? So on point. Yes, you can, please.
OJ.
Yeah.
Did you feel when you did that?
Thank you.
Feeling discomfort?
Thank you. Thank you. So again, at the beginning of the screen, I'm saying you're going to feel any discomfort or pain. He's going to tell me, and then just like you did, at the end of every single screen, every single one, right after the squat, and just to verify, that felt good, right? No pain or discomfort.
You look perfect.
Thank you. Very, very good. Thank you. So, Clifton, your feet are going to be shoulder width apart.
Nice shoes.
Yeah, he's got the nice ones. Okay, I can be really specific and say, you know, just a little bit wider. Cool. Put this on top of your head, please. On the head. Arms at 90, which I'm good with. So arms straight up. So I see Clifton. I go, okay, that's a nice straight line. Clifton, show me a squat as low as you feel comfortable going. Now with Clifton, the stick is in front of his feet. He's not breaking 90. Okay. All we know, sorry, let me stand back up. All we know is that it's not a 3. Okay? So with the squat, you have to do 2 different strings. You have to do the standing one flat, and that's just to rule whether it's a 3 or it's not. Since it's not a 3, I'm going to tell Clifton, raise your heels up off the ground. How about you move your feet? So lift your heels. There you go. And now heels down, and then go ahead and widen your feet back out. So So there you go. And I'm again gonna make sure the feet are straight, shoulders width apart, on the head really quick. We're good, arms up. Sorry, arms up. There we go. And squat as low as you feel comfortable going. Now Clifton, in either of these squats, any problems or pain? Good. Back up. Now, did anyone notice a huge difference between squat and one? A huge difference? Decent. When I say huge difference, what I mean is like now they go ass to grass. Sorry, I should clarify, okay? So, all that tells me, now that I put his heels up, I can now say, is it a 0, 1, or a 2? If he gets all the way down and his arms are straight up over the lines of his feet, just like you saw OJ flat on the floor, that's a 2. So the screen between a 3 and a 2 should look the exact same except for the heels. If everything is straight, everything is perfect, and the heels are raised, that is a 2. Question, if he got all the way down but he shifted his body kind of to the right side more than the left, is that a 2? That's not, because that's a big compensation, right? So if you see a major compensation or one of the criteria are not met, that is not a 2. That is a 1. When is it a 0? If there's pain. So let's say that he showed me the squat he just showed me and there was pain. He's a 0, but I could write down 1 if no pain, right? Just to give us all further clarification, all right? Thank you so much for doing that, by the way. I'm sorry I made you stand there for so long. So once again, 3s, everything's straight, perfect, right? Even no lateral deviation, no shifting, anything like that. The only difference between a 3 and 2 is I raise the heels, okay? If it's straight all the way down, rock bottom, that's a 2. If there's no breaking of parallel, meaning they at the very least have to get that far down, and this is not over their feet, that is a 1. And if it's painful, it's a 0, right? So, let's just play devil's advocate here for a second. Somebody just showed up. I put them in the 3 test, the 3 screen, no 3, it's not a 3. Put their heels up, they go rock bottom, right? So it's a 2. What are we thinking? Again, we're not assessing, but what are we thinking? Like, what might be going on with this person? I'm gonna give everyone a lot of information. This ankle has jack shit for movement, okay? I'm still working on it, but if I did my squat test, you're gonna see that I'm gonna lean forward, right about there, right? That's up forward. And then as soon as I do this, holy smoke, that's an easy ass squat for me. So when that happens, your first thing is called an ankle scrape, right? So here's how it works. Again, you're gonna wanna use this for sure when somebody shows you that 3 to 2 difference. You're also gonna wanna do it when somebody shows you that it's not much better, so there's still a 1. But this is for sure something that's happening when the 3 to 2 happens, okay? So you're gonna put your right foot behind your left foot, heel to toe, okay? See how my right leg, the lateral malleoli, the bone right there is pointing to you guys? So I'm testing this ankle right here on the right, okay? You wanna have the client use a stick for help, because this isn't a balance test. This is just to see how other ankles move. So if I go heel to toe, and I push my knees forward, both heels stay on the ground, okay? You need to see this knee hit the line of the malleoli at the very, very least. Or sorry, that's a calcaneus, that's another one. I said that wrong. So here, I'm just getting to the midpoint, which means I'm just clear on the right ankle. If they don't even get to this bone, you gotta work on that ankle right away. If they get to the bone, it's okay. If they get past the bone, we're good. Assuming that there's no pinching on the ankle that we're testing. So to repeat, I say hold on to this, foot in front of the ankle or foot in front of the other, keep both heels on the ground, bend both knees, and then I would ask the person, where do you feel that? Do you feel that in the front of the ankle? Do you feel that in the Achilles? I personally feel that a little bit right here in the front of the ankle, so we're just gonna put down ankle impingement on the right ankle, okay? Then you switch sides. Same idea. Everyone's gonna see my left ankle now. Okay? Everyone see how that one's not going quite as far as the other one? It's about this much shorter. So I'm gonna give you guys a little tip. Regardless of whether the ankles move phenomenally or not, as soon as you have a discrepancy from one ankle to the other that's about an inch or more, you're gonna have problems, okay? Because every time you walk, your ankle's gonna go into dorsiflexion. So if you have your right ankle moving really smooth and your left ankle not, every single step you're gonna have a little bit of a hip, and that's gonna go somewhere up the chain. So for me, I know I need to prioritize my left, But that doesn't mean my right's all that good either. It means I still have some impingement on the right. And you can best believe that when those clear up, my squat's gonna get a lot better, right? There might be other things attributing to it, but in just those 2 screens alone, we got a lot of information about how well somebody moves. Because if you have a client come in and they show you a 3 or a 2 squat and both of their ankles are good, more times than not, they're gonna be a pretty good mover. It's the people that don't do well squatting and then don't do well with a couple of other things, those are the ones that we're gonna have a lot of fun trying to progress back in. So, any questions on the squat screen, determining whether it's a 0 or a 3, and then once the screen is over, how to determine how much the ankles are playing with that?
During this screen,
Yeah.
if you said exactly what you said about yourself, and someone of us were screening you, would we immediately go into asking if one ankle was better? Did you have an injury like on that ankle?
Great question. You totally could. So I don't think it's a problem to ever ask, hey, was there an injury there? Like what happened? Because if somebody says to you, oh yeah, I fell out of a ladder and just shattered my tibia, like, oh crap, we need to work on that area. But if somebody's like, oh yeah, I just had some ankle sprains, you're right, totally gives you some extra information. So yes, you can absolutely ask some background information just to get a better idea of how to help them, please.
Is background screen done when people come in like injury history?
Yeah, good question. So typically, when they get to their first motion mechanics, they're going to have everything talked about. So we're going to go over their entire history. Now here's the question and the problem right now is, are we doing a good enough job of relaying all of that information to the entire staff? We got to figure that out. Because right now we have mind body, which allows me to basically in like 3 sentences say, here are the neurological drills that I gave this person on day 1, here's the movement emphasis that I'm starting on day 1, and here's something you could do to start that process on session 2. But there's definitely not enough room to say, Samantha fell out of the bit and and this, and then have that whole laundry list of things. So we are working on that, but that should be done on the first day, okay? Those are 2 great questions. Any other questions on that? So that right there is pretty much the biggest, baddest thing that you're going to make somebody do. Other things are going to probably be challenging to the client, but you can reaffirm that 50 or 40 or whatever year old person that that's the most challenging thing. Yes.
So in this particular example, you saw that we adjusted the required range of motion for the ankles.
Yep.
So we've got an ankle thing.
Yep.
Now, do you stop the FMS to do that ankle clearance?
Great question. No, because we still have a bunch of other things to figure out, and so you basically are just putting down as a note, they have a right and or a left ankle thing, or an impingement, whatever you want to call it, whatever you feel like the most proper verbiage would be. And then once you're done with the whole screen, they might have no other movement issues. So that's exactly what you're going to hone in on. But then at the end of the screen, if they're a 1 on their right hip and a 2 on their left hip for their ASLR, and they're a 1 on their rotary stability one way and 2 on the other way, it would make so much more sense to work on those things, because in working ASLR and rotary stability, I can also tune in ankle work. Like if I have somebody do a leg raise and some ankle mobilization as they're doing that, you can kind of fine tune those things. So you always want to use the hierarchy of the screen, which will be outlaid to you guys by the end of this whole process, to kind of be your compass as to where to start. And the better you are as a coach, the better you are as a practitioner, the better you become at getting more things done at once. Like I was hanging out with Ryan the other day, and we really vibed on like, oh, if you do this like 1 Turkish get-up drill, you're getting 3 different patterns done on once, and you're getting this other thing done. So that's where it's going to be really awesome to have my background versus your background versus yours versus all of yours, because we've all been shown slightly different exercises and slightly different ways to get into positions. So I really like it to cross-pollinate and figure out which one is going to work for that particular client. Because the way I coach somebody is going to be really good for certain people, and the way you coach somebody is going to be really good for other people, and the way you coach somebody is going to be really good for other people. So we also are going to figure out like what's the best exercise for that person and what's the best form of teaching that exercise for that person. Yeah.
Are you, what's the most efficient way to record the data you're getting?
Oh, that's such a good
So
question.
basically, that's a big thing going through it, is in your speed of delivery, when the person's accepting it, and then you have to actually, the handoffs definitely can be improved, know the family much.
Absolutely.
And you want to get as much out of the client as possible, at the same time, you got to process that.
Yep. So let's also take a step to think that most clients are going to be the typical 9 to 5 person. Where in their first session, when I give them the much information that I gave you on their first session, they're gonna be like, what am I doing, right? So guys, let me preface this that when you're seeing the typical client, I've made this a very important thing. You only need to focus on like that one thing. So when somebody leaves from my first session and they're you're gonna assume that they understand this whole process that they're doing, I tell them, look, you have neurological work, that's one thing to worry about, and you have this one stretch or this one movement or this one corrective exercise to worry about. That's all. And then on the second session, we can actually start making this into like a routine or into a training or something like that. But it's just one thing to focus on because in the idea of the FMS, when I kick that first domino over, it's going to create a cascade of other dominoes. Okay? So the information part though, what we are working towards is if you guys go onto like Google Images right now and look up like FMS sheets or FMS score sheet, you'll see the screen, you'll see a sheet that has the different screens on it with a or a little box that says you can fill in 0, 1, 2, or 3, and then a little notes section. So that's the easiest way for people to start that process is writing in on those notes. What we also are trying to do is make it so that we will all have iPads on the floor, and you can open up the iPad and click on the iPad what your result findings are. Between all you guys and me, I threw out the sheet the first day because it's my goal to be able to do this on the fly anywhere. So I use MindBody to keep track of all the pertinent information that we need for the next person or for the next session. But in your head, I would very much start getting comfortable with having all these things going through. Using pen and paper at first to make sure that you have nothing unwritten or nothing forgot is obviously going to be extremely helpful. But the faster that you can do this on the fly with less is going to make you a way better coach and a way better practitioner down the line. Because you're going to have times when, I was with an athlete on the golf course and his swing was bothering him. And so I was like, all right, let me see a couple of these movements. And then I had to do a couple of things on the course and then his swing was fine. So you need to be able to like take this information and process it on a somewhat rapid level and then be able to translate that to the client in that one thing format. Because by the time the screen is done, you could spend 30 minutes telling the client all the things to improve. I'm sorry, but that's how the FMS is being sold to people. Let's tell the client all the things wrong with them so that way they have to train with us to get fixed. And that's not what it's for. It's a very simple compass to say, right now, this is your biggest limiting factor. Let's take this limiting factor off the table and see now what's changed. And then take the next biggest limiting factor off the table and see what's changed. And for most clients, by the time you remove the first or second biggest limiting factor, you're now working with a normal functioning human movement. Cool? Does that answer your question? Yeah? Your question, right? You have one?
No, just to see if we could do one more screen and
Yeah.
then break.
Hell yeah, thank you. I love that idea. Okay, so let's do an easy one. So we're gonna do single leg balance. So by the way, let me just really quickly say this, because this is gonna be a slight change. When you learn FMS, the abbreviations are DS, deep squat, HS for hurdle step, which is a hurdle step screen, ILL, which is an inline lunge screen, SM for shoulder mobility, ASLR for asymmetrical single leg raise. Don't worry, we'll go over this again. TSPU for trunk stability push-up, rotary RS for rotary stability. So the slight change that I've made is I don't call it hurdle step, I just call it single leg balance or SLB because I like to do eyes open and eyes closed. I've chosen to do that rather than the standard FMS because the clientele that we see. A lot of our clients are still kind of wobbly just on balancing on one leg, so I use the eyes open and eyes closed just to be a screen to tell me that they're okay to work on single leg balance or not. So I'm not too worried about the articulation of flexion to extension on one leg, which is the purpose of the hurdle screen, the hurdle step. Single leg balance will be just good enough. So the second screen will be SLB, single leg balance, okay? Now, this one is a little tricky because we're gonna start and make sure that the person is at a 1 or a 2 level first, and then see if they're ready for a 3. Whereas with the squat, we started with the 3, and then worked our way down. The reason for that is because if you have somebody stand and go here and close their eyes, and they have a vestibular issue, they're gonna fall right on their side. And if you're not there to catch them, you're the able. So, be safe. You're gonna have them put their feet together, arms just relaxed at their side. You don't even have to tell them where to look, but you're going to tell them to bring their right knee or left knee as high up in the air as they can and just keep it in the air. Now, what I just did, that little wobble, that's normal, okay? When you close their eyes, a little wobble, that's normal. This is not normal. Falling over is not normal. Foot hitting the ground is not normal, okay? So, if somebody is doing the first screen, which you're determining whether it's a 0, a 1, or a 2, I look up, or I bring my knee up. If I can hold that without what you just saw, that would be a 2, okay? They need to be able to hold that for 10 to 15 seconds. So, I'll go first time. All right, Joe, put your left knee up in the air and hold it. You're gonna do this for no longer than 10 seconds. Once 10 seconds has passed, you switch feet. Okay? If somebody has a speed wobble, it's totally okay for them to put their foot down and up again. Remember, you have 3 tries. Okay? If they get past 10 seconds with both knees, just like that, you can move on to determining if it's a 3. So the same thing. Bring your left knee up and hold it. And then I like to have them close their eyes for a second, open, and then re-close, because that helps them kind of adjust to the closed eye position. If you want to be mean, just tell them to close their eyes. As long as you get them for 10 to 15 seconds with their eyes closed. Once again, if they close their eyes and you see a speed wobble or an airplane, or you see this big, huge deviation, or their foot touches the ground, that's not a 3, you just know it's a 2. Make sense?
Could I ask then, what is the purpose of doing the other one first if we're still gonna do the ones with their eyes closed?
We wouldn't, because remember, if I did this and they fell over, you have no reason to go
To
with
do,
the
got it.
right? So in the squat, you started hard and worked easy. In the single leg balance, you start easy and work hard. Okay? Those are the only 2 tests where you're gonna have kind of that weird delineation. Everything else is right there. It's a 0, 1, 2, or 3. Okay? Great
What
question.
if they're a solid 3 when they do the easy version and then,
Yes.
yeah, and then they're a 2 after that?
This is good. This side, not good. That is called an asymmetry. So you would put down single leg balance 2. Because they're not a 3 on both sides, they're technically a 2. Because if one side's a 3 and one side's a 2, you score it low. So I'm sorry, I didn't even say that earlier. Guys, when in doubt, score low. Always score low. So if there's an asymmetry, you go with the low number. If you're not quite sure whether they got to parallel or not in their squat, or whether their knee is hitting high up or not, you score low. You always score low. So, squat, start with the 3, determine whether it's a 3. Go to a 2, 1, or 0 score. And then from there, ankle screen to determine how much of the squat is being influenced from the ankles. Yes or no on pain. You move on to single leg balance. First one is to determine if it's a 0, 1, or 2. So just up here, hold for 10 to 15 seconds. Up here, hold for 10 to 15 seconds. If they can complete that, you would score to see if they're a 3 with the eyes closed for 10 to 15 seconds.
So the eyes closed is a 3.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And then again, 1 is a 3, 1's a 2, it's a 2. 1's a 2, 1's a 1, it's a 1. And then right before we break, contraindications, which means if somebody is a 1 or a 0 on either of those 2 movements, we need to all be on the same page as to what exercises or activities we say to avoid or greatly reduce for the next couple of weeks versus what exercises or movements would be greatly beneficial to improve this. So, really quickly, let's all just think really for a hot second. Somebody is a 1 or a 0 in their squat screen. What are you going to have them not do for the next couple of weeks? Okay, simple. So let me ask you this. We're not going to make them hold the weight and squat. Are we going to make them body weight squat?
No.
No. Why? They could, but let me put it to you this way. Whenever something is a 1 or a 0, we're not going to load it. Okay, think of it that way. We're not going to load the pattern. And when I'm standing right now, is my body loaded? It is. It's loaded by gravity. The very underthought of like concept. Gravity is always working on me, just like pressure is always working. So even with a body weight squat, that is loading a squat pattern. Whether for better or for worse, it's loading a squat pattern. So I would definitely say no body weight weighted any kind of squat for the next 1 to 2 weeks. However, we'll talk about this when we get to the next couple of sessions when we break these out more. If somebody's not in pain, we did it earlier. Why can't I make them do this for a week? This is gonna groove their knees, their ankles, their hips. I could put a bottle on their back so that their spine has to be even more level. I could make them put their knees up. Okay, I can put bands around their hips. I can make them reach. Like there's so many things that you can do with the knowledge of exercise and training when somebody's a 1. It's when somebody's a 0 that we gotta be kind of specific about what we're doing. Okay? So we all understand if somebody is a 1 or a 0 in their squat, they do not body weight or loaded squat. They can do something on the ground which allows them to get in that position without pain and with proper alignment. Or you can make sure that with the information you found to give them something that will aid to their squat. Case in point, somebody has an ankle restriction. Where did my stick go? It's a very popular one around the world. You just go to a half heel position, the heel's under the knee, you push this down, and you just groove the ankle around. Some people who have the impingement on the ankle when they stand, you take them to this position and the impingement's gone. And now they can actually groove a good ankle pattern with their knee bending, with their hip bending, just like in a squat. So for somebody who's a 2 all across the board, but they have impingement on the right ankle, except for a 1 in their squat and impingement on the right ankle, why wouldn't I have them just do that ankle mobilization every day for a week? And then maybe next time I see them, we can actually go into like an assisted squat or a bodyweight squat or something like that. Yes?
You do a quick assessment after that week to see if it's improved with the exercise again.
Totally great question. So let's think about it from like the typical client perspective. When we get the typical client and we get their first session, in their notes, I or the coach would put in, here's the neurological drills they're doing, here are the 2 movement priorities, ASLR and deep squat. So then with that information on the second session, you would just screen those 2 things. Because if you knew that ASLR and deep squat was bad on the first session, and then we see them, it's like, oh, that's a 2. We can move on from deep squat today. We can go into rotary stability. And then in your notes that day, you'll say, gave assisted squats because deep squat is clear. We are now focused on rotary stability and trunk stability push-up. Or we'll even get to a point where all movements are clear and Christina wants to focus on being able to do a chin-up, right? And then we can actually start training for those types of things, right? So we're gonna re-screen those specific ones, probably a minor screen each session, just to make sure that everything's moving on the right path. When the client is done with their first 4 sessions, which usually takes about a month, at their final session, we would want to do a full rescreen, assuming that everything's been working well. Because what we're kind of figuring out is once the client is done with their original program of the 4 sessions, we should hopefully in the near future have an option of like, they'll be a member at our local gym, or they're going to be seeing us for a session once a week. And we're going to have to start training them for their goals, rather than just getting them back to alignment and proper movement. Okay? So we did the contra indications for squat. If somebody is a 1 or a 0 on single leg balance, you've got a challenge, but what are some things that we definitely don't want to do for that person? Eyes closed. That's one. We're definitely not going to make them do like any high stairs, right? Or have them go and balance on one, like farmer's walks where they're holding weight and balancing on 1 foot. What we can make them do is lie on their back and do some single leg hip bridges possibly. Something where in a very simple position, assuming there's no pain, we can get their hips and their body to understand that hold. And you're going to have to progress them from that low, simple exercise back into maybe a kneeling posture. And then once they understand this without pain, you get them back into a standing posture. All right? The contraindications include no loaded single leg balance. So you could technically sit there and say no more walking, but obviously we're not going to do that. So we're going to talk to our clients and say, hey, as you're going throughout your day and you need to be doing your neurological work, that will help your body be more centered, more aligned, and then you can think about how to walk with more intention or with more whatever you decide to give them. Okay? Any questions on how to screen, single leg balance or deep squat, contraindications, or basically verbiage we're going over with clients? Let's break 5 to 10 minutes.